You've seen the trailers, dances, memes, TikToks, and tweets, but did you know that M3GAN is also a movie? And I've got my review right now. This review is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Go to mintmobile.com/Murrell for a special offer and stay tuned after this review for more info. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of M3GAN, or M3GAN as it's also known. This is my first new movie review of the year, and it actually would have been up on this channel earlier, but I chose to book my holiday travel with Southwest Airlines. That's right, Southwest Airlines. If you want to get within, let's say, 6 hours of your destination, maybe on the day you started traveling, be sure to book Southwest Airlines. The employees are patient and the airline is a hot mess. So this is a little bit later than I wanted it to be, but I did not see the buzz around this movie coming. I think it's because of the original trailer for M3GAN, which was really masterfully put together. And so there is quite a bit of anticipation for this film. This is the first early January release of the year, and typically that slot belongs to an utterly garbage horror movie. I mean, I've seen some real stinkers in the past. Insidious: The Last Key, which is one of the better ones. Escape Room: The Bye-Bye Man, which is one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. Well, I'm happy to report that M3GAN is better than all of those movies, easily, although it may not quite live up to the hype. M3GAN is from director Jared Johnston with a screenplay from Akilah Cooper, who teamed up for story credit with horror maestro James Wan. They're the same duo who teamed up to bring you 2021's *Malignant*. I almost said last year's *Malignant*, but we're now in 2023. It's the movie YouTube version of writing last year's date on your checks. Allison Williams stars as Gemma, a toy inventor who finds herself unexpectedly raising her young niece Katie, played by Violet McGraw. Inspired by Katie's desire for a new friend, Gemma creates M3GAN, a life-sized AI-driven robot programmed to befriend and protect Katie, a piece of seemingly innocent programming that goes awry when M3GAN begins learning too much in pursuit of her programming.
Katie, what are you doing? Stop it. Katie, calm down.
Let her go.
M3GAN, turn off.
Are you sure?
M3GAN is technically categorized as horror, but it could just as easily fall into the comedy category, and at times, it's a pretty good satire. I was laughing throughout the film, from the very opening scene, which I think is intentionally reminiscent of what we got in movies like RoboCop, to the movie's final showdown. We've seen killer doll movies before, but not quite like this, and I admire the commitment from James Wan and Akilah Cooper to deliver more than just the standard horror film, which would be putting a new skin on the same old scares and same old kills. M3GAN largely avoids most of these pitfalls. I think that M3GAN works best when it is a cinema of the bizarre, leaning a lot into the tone that people really connected to with *Malignant* and what I thought there wasn't enough of in that film. When M3GAN embraces its premise and pushes the boundaries of that premise, the movie really works. Now, to sell the movie, they put a lot of those moments into the trailer. There is not a deep well of insanity that you haven't already seen in the promotional materials, if you've seen the promotional materials, but that doesn't mean that you've seen everything that this movie has to offer. There are still lots of moments that had me shaking my head in a good way at just how ridiculous this movie was getting.
This is the part where you run.
Unfortunately, the movie can't sustain that tone or the momentum of it throughout. A lot of times it falls into those tropes, not necessarily the horror tropes, but the family drama tropes and stories that we've seen many times before. I'd say it's about 60% a standard movie, 40% the crazy insanity that the trailers have promised. I really think that the movie's PG-13 rating is the reason why it doesn't fully embrace that premise. Every time it wants to cross that line or gets close to crossing that line, you hit that rating barrier so that it can't quite show you M3GAN going as crazy as you want her to go. If they allowed this movie to be rated R, I think that I would have liked it a little bit more, and I think it could have delivered on the uniqueness of this spin on the premise more than it did, but this is early January, and a lot of these movies exist to part teenagers from their money, so they wanted to keep the rating low. I understand that, but I do think that it holds M3GAN back from fully embracing the promise that was made and also this spin on the killer doll premise. The M3GAN that we get feels like a watered down version of the utterly unhinged version that could have been. Still though, M3GAN is a step up from the standard horror fare that we usually get in January, and a big reason why is the actors. Violet McGraw gives a vulnerable and believable performance as Katie, whose trauma intermixes with M3GAN's artificial love to create a toxic combination. McGraw has already made appearances in the movie Black Widow, Dr. Sleep, and Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House, and talent obviously runs in the family because her sister Madeline gave one of my favorite performances in a horror movie last year in Scott Derrickson's The Black Phone. Allison Williams also portrays a deeply flawed character who's unaware of most of her flaws. I do wish that the horror movie had dealt with that aspect a little bit more. I tended to run hot or cold with M3GAN, but I do have to say that when it works, it really, really works. And I have to give credit to the filmmakers and the writers behind this for really making this movie pop. It could have been a very disappointing output, but they were able to go in and make things just crazy enough, just wild enough to keep me interested when that interest started to lag. I'm not sure who was behind the marketing for this film, but it was really well done, even if it does lean into that thing of showing you more than you probably want to see. A trailer is really about what it's promising the audience, and I think how much you're going to enjoy this movie, it kind of falls into two camps as far as what's been promised. If you are going for the promise of the premise of the movie, the idea of this weird robot that is protecting this little girl and doing all kinds of crazy things, then I don't think you're going to be disappointed because it does deliver on that premise, and I think in a pretty unique way. If you're going for the promise of more crazy moments, like M3GAN doing that little dance in the hallway or whatever else, I'd say 90% of the wackiest moments in the movie have already been seen, and I get it, you want to get butts in seats, but if you're going for more moments like that, I could see you being a little bit more disappointed in the final film. It really is, as always, based on what are you looking for when you buy your ticket to the movie. As it stands, I think an R-rated version of this movie could have been a breakout hit, and I think the version that we have is bound to be a cult hit or a cult classic, but that's not such a bad thing, and I still think the movie's going to do all right at the box office. I think it's got enough buzz to at least open well, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to love this movie for the absolute wackiness of some of these moments. I couldn't quite get to the love area, but I can recommend it, if only because it's able to deliver on this premise, even if that delivery is flawed. And as movies that come out early in the year, particularly in January, go, we could do a lot worse, and we most certainly have in the past. So while I wasn't as crazy about M3GAN as I hoped that I was going to be based on the trailers and based on the hype, I still think that you're going to have a pretty good time with the movie. Maybe not the best time that you're going to have all year, but a fun time nonetheless. So those are my thoughts on M3GAN. What do you think? Are you going to be heading out to the theater to see it this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. And before I leave, I want to thank the sponsor for this review, Mint Mobile. The holidays are over. You've given those gifts, but now it's time to pay for them. And if your credit card bill is looking as ugly as mine, you don't have to look too far for savings, because this year and every year, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. For a limited time, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And I've been enjoying great Mint Mobile service for a fraction of the cost before this deal. And I mentioned it was a limited time offer. Time is running out. There is less than 2 weeks left to get this special deal. So for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/Murrell. That's mintmobile.com/Murrell. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Murrell. Thanks to Mint Mobile for sponsoring this review, and thank you for watching. I'll be back very soon with more movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Until then, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.